Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody. Welcome back today for the second day of the meeting. I'm Maxima Ibarra, CEO of Italy, and I'm really pleased to talk to you about Italy and the performance and what we have in mind in order to keep delivering very good results. This chart is about our deliverables. And it's important because there has been quite a good consistency over the years about what we have delivered, what we are delivering. And I think that the most important areas is that wind in Italy has been outperforming the market for the last years, again, quite consistently. So our performance has been the best in the market, much better than the one of Vodafone, Telecom Italia Mobile, and Hutchinson. So that performance has allowed us to increase our market share and revenue share in the previous years. Wind is one of the most efficient operators in Western Europe, and this is based on a global cost benchmarking survey run by Kearney. And this is important because in most of the areas, wind has reached a level of efficiency that is very high. And this has allowed us also to get, in terms of EBITDA, a very big EBITDA, if we compare to the other third entrants in the market, in Western European markets, as well as EBITDA margin. Solid operational cash flow, this is very important. At the same time, we have always got an important, significant result in terms of customer satisfaction, so the Net Promoter Score and customer satisfaction that we consider very important in order to have good future performance. The more we are able to keep this customer satisfaction rating at a high level, the more we are able to keep outperforming the market. So this is quite a mathematical equation. Smart value for money, and we will dedicate the next year, we will see in the next chart about this competitive positioning because it's probably the most important thing, the most important area. And we see that this smart value for money positioning has been probably the most important element for the outperformance, for the efficiency, and for the operational cash flow generation. We have two brands, as you all know. One is on mobile wind, and the other one is on fixed Infostrada. The two brands are now working a lot together in order to exploit as much as possible the synergies between fixed and mobile. Now fixed and mobile are being perceived by customers with this smartphone penetration, tablets, as something that is very similar in terms of super broadband experience. So they don't, let me say, care about the Wi-Fi mobile. What they care is that they have to get the most important, let me say, a significant and reliable super broadband connection. So that's why now mobile and fixed are working more and more together. The famous convergence of 10 years ago now it seems to be a reality in most of the markets. Wind Digital, this is a department that we decided to start up 12 months ago. I remember the last time when we met in 2013, I announced the birth of Wind Digital. Now Wind Digital is a reality, and I will tell you more about the outcomes and performance of Wind Digital that has been impressive. We started just working on fixing the basics, just improving the experience in terms of all the digital brand touch points, and now we are really delivering some important results. The competitive positioning evolution. Of course, we are not changing positioning because positioning, the consistency on positioning has been probably the most important success factor in the performance of Wind. We're just evolving this positioning where the core of being smart value for money, of course, is there. But we need just to enhance this, to strengthen this in order to be a little bit more efficient, in order to be much better in terms of what we expect from the market in 2014 and 15. The three most important bricks of this positioning are, let's start from the one in the center, best customer relationship. This is very simple. We have understood quite well that in order to succeed, we have to provide and deliver a very good customer experience at all the different brand touch points. So it means that we have to be the best when customers enter into a point of sale. It means that we have the best when communicating, when we do advertising. We have to be the best when we answer calls to customers at the customer care. These very simple things, this is exactly where we have to be the best in order just to guarantee this customer experience. If you look at the left, good quality network, this is very important as well for the simple reason that we don't have to overshoot in terms of quality of the network, but at the same time we have to monitor closely what are all the expectations of customers in the market. To give you an example, if we talk about network, we always talk about coverage and capacity, and for the broadband we talk about capacity in general across all the different technologies. So if customers are expecting to have a good quality, they don't care and they don't understand anything about throughput, gigabytes, they don't understand megabit, they don't understand anything. What they want is just to have a good experience. So that's why we have to understand always this experience. If it takes too much just to go to whatever site on the mobile, on the smartphone, then this is a bad experience. And in numbers, even though customers don't know this, like city in Rome, if you provide something that is around 5 megabit in terms of average performance, or 6 megabit, this is very good. You don't need to provide 10 megabit. The important thing is that you provide always minimum 2 megabit in this moment. And this behavior of the customer changes over time. So it means that probably in 2014 it's not going to be 2, but it's going to be 2.5. So the customer is evolving, but what really the customer hates is that even though you have an average throughput that is super, you don't get the right speed in, let me say, a specific time of the day. So this is important when we talk about quality of the network. And then we have the smart value for money proposition. This is about pricing, this is about offering. And here we started quite a long time ago. And we decided to be very transparent, we decided to be very clear, very simple. We have always this approach with customers that don't make me think. So customers don't have to think too much, in particular if we talk about the consumer market. They have to perceive this offer to be, again, accessible, attractive, state-of-the-art, but at the same time it has to be simple and reliable. And reliability is always about transparency. Then we added this value proposition of all-inclusive. So we were the first in the Italian market to launch these integrated offers, bundles, the all-inclusive bundles, so SMS, gigabytes, voice, on net, off net, then depending on the mobile termination cut, we decided just to expand our off net, on net bundles because customers are now just calling to everybody. And now the challenge here is to move gradually to bundles that are voice-centric to bundles that are more and more data-centric. And this evolution is, in the end, something very simple because customers are now really relying a lot on data. If you see the trend and the dynamics about the messaging, now really the SMS is becoming really out of date. And everything is about WhatsApp and all the other over-the-tops. So you have to guarantee, let me say, a data products that are, let me say, sharing gigas among different SIM cards because the family have many SIM cards. It's not only about your smartphone, but it's also about your tablets. And now people have more than 2 or 3 tablets. So if you see people, just simple people, the normal family in front of TV, when they are all at home, everybody's doing something different. So one is just holding the smartphone, the other one the tablet, the other one the smart TV. Everything is becoming smart at home. So everything has now a SIM card embedded. Potentially will have a SIM card embedded. So data is important for the pricing. So shared wallet, shared gigas, not only in terms of mobile, but also including fixed, quality of service, data pricing. These are the things that now we are working on in order to guarantee the right experience. Of course, this is not enough because then you have to talk about delivery and then you have to talk about execution. So all these things are very nice, but if execution is not the right one, of course, you will have a lot of issues. And we worked a lot on this execution because execution is not very sexy. It's not as attractive as the offering and all these other things, but it's probably the most important element. So that's why we worked a lot in order to have a no bureaucratic company, very lean, very fast in the decision-making process, working on all the most important, let me say, areas for OPEX and CAPEX, but without cutting quality. It's always about evolving the operational business model. It's not cutting just simple because we want to cut. It's because we have to be efficient, but at the same time we have to guarantee a very high quality. Otherwise, we don't respect the best customer relationship brick. And of course, it's just a matter of end-to-end. End-to-end means that, again, you have to take each single process in the company and you have to analyze this in the value chain. So when you deliver something at the point of sale, you have to take care about your information technology platforms because otherwise the two things could be not consistent to each other. In the end, the result of this operational excellence and end-to-end high quality in combination with the 3 bricks above, is leading to something that I'm really proud of, and the management team of Wind is really proud of, because now we are in this moment dealing with one distribution channel. We are really relying on retail, it's point of sales. Why? Because it is higher quality. Pull channels are much better than push channels in terms of quality. At the same time, the acquisition cost is much lower because it is pull. So we are relying more and more there, and in particular for the fixed network, more and more InfoStrada subscriptions are being made at the point of sale. And this is very important because you can then start exploiting all these synergies. So you sell mobile and fixed at the same time. People are really now willing to subscribe, combine products, because this, let me say, need of data is becoming something very important. One product, we decided to introduce 2 years ago this all-inclusive product brand, and now the all-inclusive product brand is working all across the board. So we have all-inclusive products for prepaid, postpaid, consumer, B2B, fixed and mobile, and the intent here is to have the same product name, the same family product name, so we can then communicate this just once. So every time we see and we deliver on TV a commercial, we say all-inclusive. Then people say, okay, why, what is it for? Is all-inclusive? No, all-inclusive is for everything. So you go at the point of sale and you will find your all-inclusive product. So that's why we have been able to be very efficient at the point of sale, because we have to communicate once. And we are communicating once for the 2 brands, and at the same time we are communicating once with the same testimonials. And the testimonials are very important in Italy because they have to be reliable, but at the same time they have to make people smile, because life is difficult, and if you don't smile when you see a commercial, then it becomes really, really sad. And the one customer care is important. Customer care is important because when you call customer care, you don't have to have 2 different agents answering for fixed and mobile, or for consumer and business. You have to have just, let me say, a one-stop shopping experience, even though you are not buying, but the one-stop shopping experience at the point of sale has to be probably shifted also at the customer care operation. And it is there where we are working a lot, not only in terms of live calls, but we are working a lot with our social networks, the presence we have with Win Digital at the social networks, and we have become the quickest company in Italy among all industries in social response. So when a customer decides to complain on Facebook, we are the quickest in answering. Not only that we are quick, but we are also, let me say, very effective in answering. So this is very important because now more and more customers are just simply writing on Facebook. So they don't call, they don't care. Digital natives, they don't simply call. So you have to also to address these customers at a social network level. Some examples. Advertising, I already mentioned. Testimonials. I don't know if you know these, let me say, comedians and actors in Italy. One is Panariello, the other one is Fiorello. Probably Fiorello is only famous in Italy. I don't know if it is famous also in other countries, but these 2 guys are very, very reliable. And it's important because as we are just building up our brand, not only in the consumer segment, but in the business-to-business segment, having reliable testimonials is very important just for the brand awareness. Data quality I mentioned. It's important to meet customer expectations on almost a daily basis. You cannot, let me say, just enter into a comfort zone because you have deployed your network and you are fantastic in terms of LTE. It's important to monitor the network every day, the level of services. Customers sometimes complain not because they are not getting the best speed. Customers are complaining because sometimes if you don't monitor the network in a very good way, probably you are not serving these customers in a specific time of the day. So it's much better to monitor the network, to maintain the network, to be very close to customers in doing what they really expect. Point of sales is important because in the Italian market, as well as in other, I may say, mature markets, probably operators have rolled out a lot of point of sales. We all have a lot of point of sales. And at the same time, the market is saturated, the market is mature, so it's very difficult to find people without a SIM card, without a fixed line. So that's why the relationship with the point of sale, with the entrepreneur, has to change dramatically. So if you don't have to pay based on the acquisition. You have to pay based on, let me put it this way, revenue share business model. So you have to just to build this long-term relationship. You have to give them opportunities in order to sustain their profit and loss, but at the same time, you have to get your advantages, which is long-term profitability. On the web, I'll tell you more about this in the end of this presentation. CRM, innovative CRM approach. When we say innovative CRM approach, it seems to be something, no, like, I don't know, saying whatever you want. But in the end, this is very important because it means that you have to be really proactive. Customers are so dynamic in this moment, particularly in the consumer segment, but in the business segment as well, that they are like flags. They used to change very fast. Whatever it happens, in particular because we are in recession times, they are very sensitive to everything. So you have to approach those customers in a very reactive and proactive way. So as soon as you see that the behavior of this customer is changing a bit, and you have all the instruments to do this, because now we are talking about big data, but big data, let me say, something that companies in mobile industry have had always. Now we are really exploiting this opportunity to understand the behavior, to understand the consumption, and to react in the right moment. So personalization, proactive approach, life cycle management. We have to be a little bit more developed in this area. And the processes, new and evolved IT platform. We have worked a lot on the IT. IT, again, is something invisible. You don't see it. Again, it's not very sexy. It's not very attractive. It's just a technical stuff. But in the end, you have to be very lean. And now we are able to have product development in a very short time. It takes only 1 week from the decision to the field when we decide to do something. And this is important because it means that you are able to react before competitors, before your peers, so you are able to do things in a much faster time. The market. Let me spend a few, let me say, more than seconds on this because it's important. 2013 has not been, let me say, a super year in terms of mobile, let me say, performance, the sector. So the mobile industry has dropped between 14 and 15%. This is, let me say, the estimation for 2013. Why? Why this performance? Very simple. It is not only about 2013, but it was also about 2012. And the main reason in 2012, if you remember, is that we have this famous mobile termination rate, CAT, that probably explained most of the drop of the revenues in the market in 2012. In 2013, we had another, let me say, problem, because it's always about perfect storms, no? When something happens in the market, then you have all the other negative things happening at the same time. So we had the mobile termination rate, 2 cuts in 1 year. Then we had price competition, which is sometimes something very normal. It's something that you have to take into account because the market is a market, which is Italy, 60 million people, 4 players. And if you have, in particular, the 2 big incumbents, Telecom and Vodafone, playing on the field of the attackers with the same levers and with the same positioning, of course, you tend to face a fierce price competition. This is exactly what happened in 2013. But it doesn't mean that it didn't happen in 2012 and it didn't happen in 2011. The fact is, in 2013, it was a little bit more, let me say, strong. And why? And this happened at the same, also because the market was in a recession. So the GDP was not performing very well, and the unemployment rate was very high. And so the consumption and the family spend is dropping, partly because people are afraid, partly because the purchasing power is, of course, decreasing. And this is probably one of the main causes of this opportunistic behavior. So customers are really very sensitive to pricing, really, all customers. So if you change something like this, then people start saying, oh, come on, I have to change, I have to look at. This was not the case in 2010 and 2011. So these 3 factors, of course, has contributed a lot in this drop in the market in 2013. What do we expect in 2014? There will be an additional drop, mainly coming from the cannibalization of the price war of 2012 and 13. But the good news for 2014 is that there will be a country with at least a positive GDP growth. I don't know how much it's going to be, 0.3, 0.4, 0.8. There are a lot of estimations, but in any case, it's not going to be negative. But at the same time, there is a much more rational behavior in the pricing management in the market. Summertime, we probably touched the floor, but in September, the scenario changed dramatically. To give you an example, in this moment, what we used to sell for, let me put 8 euros, now is being sold in the market at 12, 13. So it means that retail prices now are, again, increasing. But of course, the cannibalization you had in your customer base is there. So if you subscribe something very discounted in summertime and before, you are going to keep it. So retail prices are going to be a little bit higher, much more higher, apart from one player in particular. But let me say the other important players, and the most important 3 players are just on this path. There is just only one that probably has not understood that the world is changing a bit. And this probably explains why also the market in 2014 will drop a little bit. But the good thing is that in 2015 and 16, the market will stabilize for sure. In 2016, we will be back to growth because the market is huge. Again, now in this moment, we are selling all the bundles with 1 giga. We used to sell all the bundles with 2 gigas. So now it seems that this opportunity of upselling customers with the 2nd giga, with the 3rd giga, with the 4 giga, because everybody is becoming addicted to super broadband, this will be an opportunity for growth. So you see that in 2013 and 14, messaging is really dropping. Messaging is really dropping. We noticed this drop in particular during Christmas time, so nobody's sending messages. Everybody just simply updating its profile on the social networks or WhatsApping, whatever they want. But messaging is really dropping, unfortunately. And voice, of course, is the one responsible for this cannibalization, but mobile data is growing. Internet mobile data is growing. If you look at the performance of Wind on the mobile data, you see, again, another, let me say, important signal of this outperformance in the market. Mobile data Wind plus 37% in 2013, plus 37%, while the market has performed with a plus 8%. So we are really doing a lot here. Fixed data, the same. Infostrada has performed with a plus 5% and the market was doing minus 1%. So the data market is something that we are addressing properly because it is very important. Okay, GDP, I already mentioned. GDP will be in a positive field. Unemployment rate is the only bad thing, but I think it's not only in Italy. I think it's in the most mature European markets the same. Of course, Mediterranean countries are suffering a little bit more about this, but in any case, it's a European problem. The unemployment rate will be, yes, around 12%. Youth unemployment rate will be about 40%, and this is the bad thing, because the more you have unemployment, the more opportunistic customer behavior will be there. And the family consumption index, of course, is pushing back, or is pushing up the pressure on promotions and all these kind of things. If we look at the Italian market ecosystem, this is what I consider very important because on the right, the customer-based market share. The customer-based market share in 2009 on mobile, Wind was 20.9%, 20.9% of market share. And now this percentage is 24.3%. So consistently, every year, Wind has grown in terms of market share. And in particular, if you look at the consumer segment, this is not market share, but this is value share. So in terms of revenues, in the consumer segment, that is the most important one in Italy because it is worth approximately 75% of the total mobile service revenues. In that area, we moved from 21.1% to 26.3%. 26.3%, so it's a huge growth. So I would say that Wind now is having in the consumer segment almost the same weight of Vodafone and Telecom Italia Mobile. So this is also telling us another important thing, that in the consumer segment, again, we have grown a lot, but we have also opportunities in the business segment. And the competitive positioning is important because once you are strong in the consumer segment, it means that you are able now to start working on the business to business, because in order to be perceived in the business to business as a reliable player, you need to be very strong in the consumer. The strategy here is that you need to surround all the decision makers in the companies, because the family of the entrepreneur will be Wind. So now they have a different perception. This is exactly the way it works, starting from SOHO, small medium enterprise, and then going ahead with the large enterprise. You see also in this chart from 2009 to 2013 that some players probably have lost and other players have, let me say, remained the same. So Hutchinson was 10% in 2009, Hutchinson is still 10% in 2013, while the other two incumbents has lost a little bit. Challenges, okay, customer needs evolution. Customers are changing faster than what we believe. So we have to be very fast. Data is a must, so we cannot underestimate it. We have to work very well on this. Digital opportunities, there are huge digital opportunities. This combination of smartphone, tablets, super broadband networks, customers that are evolving, and the fact that there are a lot of contents that you can access through all the different, let me say, online stores and application stores. This is really creating the good ecosystem that will be growing like hell in the next years. Surplus distribution, this is what I was saying before. There are a lot of mono-brand stores, so it doesn't mean that now we have to change radical, but gradually the market has to start rationalizing the total number of point of sales. We have to start, let me say, cutting the point of sales that are not so profitable, working more with the point of sales that had, let me say, big opportunities. Mono-brand stores probably will be there, but we have to understand very well this positioning, so we have to become really scientific in the point of sale footprint approach. Competitive positioning is what I told you. Most of the players, unfortunately, the two incumbents, decided to enter into a competitive field that was not their, let me say, elective field. If Vodafone and Telecom decided to work on pricing, of course, this was the main cause of this fierce price competition in the market. So, I believe that incumbents have to find their own way. They have to position originally and not, let me say, matching attackers' strategy. As well as, let me say, one of the players, Hutchinson, has to play a little bit more in a rational way on pricing in order to help strengthen, enhance, let me say, the value creation in the market for the next years. European commercial rules, this is important because there has been a lot of discussions about the single market, but now it seems that probably this single market concept is probably not so strong. In 2013, there was a big fight. We had a big fight with the regulations, we had a big fight with our competitors, with incumbent Telecom Italia, about all these fixed fees, and we were able, and this is important, we were able to drive these fixed fees cut, not only on the ULL, but also in the WLR, or in the bid stream. So all these things have helped a lot in terms of creating an ecosystem where we can compete on the fixed network much, let me say, efficiently than before. And this is important because you know that Infostrada is the second player in Italy. So it's the number one for considering the alternative players, but it's just the second after Telecom Italia. So if you exclude Telecom Italia, Infostrada has 45% of share in Italy. And there have been a lot of announcements on the NGN in Italy, but a lot of debates, discussions, but nothing has happened. Okay, performance. Revenues in last 12 months, so the last, let me say, performance in terms of revenues is still above the 5 billion euros. In terms of EBITDA, now we are still in the area of 2 billion euros, with the EBITDA margin that is 38.3%, even higher, or higher than the one of 2012 and higher than the one of 2011. And if you look at the benchmark, this is very important, because if you consider the mobile service revenues and you compare the first 9 months of 2013 versus the first 9 months of 2012, then you have decreasing, of course, performance of in the mobile service revenues. It is -10, and then you have -17% of Telecom Italia, -18.6 of Vodafone. And if we move to the EBITDA, you have EBITDA of Wind is -11%, mobile. Telecom Italia is -17, and Vodafone is -25.7%. So market has been shaken in 2013. But at the same time, we have been able to guarantee quite high operational cash flow. So more than 5 million euros of revenues, 2 billion euros in terms of EBITDA, 1.1 billion euros in terms of operational cash flow, considering the very bad context of 2013. And if you look at the percentage, so the EBITDA minus CapEx on the total sales, if you let's say, consider Wind as a totality, is 22.1%, but if you consider the mobile performance is approximately 26.4%, which is quite high. We have delivered a lot of things since our last meeting last year. So again, our performance was there. We have been able to be the leaders in terms of mobile data growth, best in class in terms of customer service, the lowest acquisition cost. This is very important. We have the lowest acquisition cost in the market, thanks to this shift from push to pull, and thanks to the fact that we have this very solid competitive positioning also in communication. So we are just able to send people to the point of sales in order to subscribe our services. Fixed margins increased sharply. This is very important because now the fixed EBITDA is really growing. We started this process with Amsterdam in 2012, and I think this is one important achievement because now the EBITDA of fixed is really growing a lot compared to the previous years. Network transformation project was very important because it led to good savings in terms of OPEX and CAPEX in 2013, and of course the strong operational cash flow. So we were able to meet most of the promises we made last year during this meeting. Looking at the value chain and the value agenda of VimpelCom, let me give just some examples about what we did and what we are going to do. Again, this is very important. This is extremely important. So the moment you are able to impact the perception of customers, that moment you are able to predict your future performance. And this is what we say in Italy. If we are able to get the leadership in terms of customer satisfaction and net promoter score, it means that for the next 12 months, we will be outperforming our peers. This is the way it works. Again, it's statistical. So that's why we are very stick to this performance, very, very stick to this performance. The overall performance is absolutely mandatory in our competitive strategy. And you see, the net promoter score has been even increasing, the customer satisfaction is high, even though now competitors are understanding that they have to be good. So now we have this pressure coming from the bottom, but at the same time we have the pressure that we are benchmarking ourselves with our previous performance. And it's important now to consider what we are doing in the digital arena in order to sustain this performance. It's difficult, but I think this is the most important predictor of your future performance. If you look at the customer excellence and the profitability and the value of our subscribers, we have to take into consideration two things. The most important one is that last year, 74% of our customer base was bundled, and now this percentage is 80%, and most of our bundles are all-inclusive. So it means that we are really stabilizing our customer base. At the second time, we have that working on point of sales, we have been able to increase the total number of business-to-business customers at the point of sale with this famous all-inclusive value proposition communicated at the same time with the same testimonial and commercials. And we have moved from 106 to 146K in the first 9 months of 2013, so with a growth of approximately 39%. And again, profitability is what we have achieved on the fixed. Profitability is what we are trying to achieve, working on the most important segments like people in the northern part of Italy where fortunately, we have been able to grow in terms of brand perception. We were very strong in the south part of Italy. We were not so strong in the north, but it was not a matter of delivering low quality. It was just a matter of perception. And in order to change perception, it takes really a lot of time. You have to work consistently. You have to be very, let me say, disciplined in doing this. But now it is working. Now we are really acquiring a lot of customers in the north part of Italy, and the word of mouth process has started. As well as we need to defend now the ethnic customer base that is absolutely under attack, because international segments, all these, let me say, communities that are living in Italy, they use, of course, the mobile phone for everything. So they are becoming a valuable customer for all our peers. In terms of distribution, I already said a lot of things about this distribution, but here it's important to understand that now approximately 43% of total activations of fixed are being made at a point of sale. And the strategy here is that I would like to keep the acquisition cost being the lowest in the market, but in order to do this, I need to guarantee to my entrepreneurs that are working at the point of sale to have the whole portfolio of products. That's why I'm delivering all these products at the point of sale, fixed, mobile, business, consumer, prepaid, postpaid. So they have more chances to upsell, to cross-sell, to upgrade customers, to combine, to explore synergies between mobile and fixed. Of course, we are refreshing the layout. We are not changing the layout. We are refreshing the layout. We need to have this orange being really fleshy. And we know the orange is a very optimistic color, so that's why we are working a lot on this. In terms of commercials, in terms of branding, in terms of one product, again, last year when we met 12 months ago, we had approximately 1.8 million customers with all-inclusive bundles. Now this number raised to 7.7 million. So all-inclusive now is really the state-of-the-art proposition, and everybody's trying to match it. Everybody, all the peers are doing the same, are just copying us and doing the same products, and because they understood that this was successful. And in terms of commercials, again, same brand, same testimonials, same way of communicating on TV. This is, of course, allowing us to save a lot of money in terms of OpEx. You don't have to communicate 3 times. 4 years ago, we were communicating InfoStrat and Wind, so we had to have 2 different media plannings. Now we have just only 1 media planning, and we are optimizing the investment on TV. This is very important because in Italy, when you talk about communication, you have to consider commercials on TV. TV is very important for the reasons that you can imagine. So, but it is very, very important. Profitable growth, win in mobile data. Yes, again, if you take the horizon of 2010 and the first 9 months of 2013, you see that we have doubled the total number of people, the total number of customers, internet users, active internet users. Now we are talking about 7.7 million customers out of the total customer base mobile that is 22. And if we exclude silent customers, that it's approximately 18%, because we have this percentage which is much better than all the other peers, but this is what we have to consider in Italy. Then you see that the active number of customers, the active customers in terms of internet is much higher. Wind mobile internet revenues have increased by 2.5 times over the year. So from 2010 to the first 9 months of 2013, and this is very important. You saw that we have grown in 2013 approximately 35%, while the market grew only by 8%. And the other important thing here is that you know that we are not subsidizing smartphones. We are a player that, in terms of strategy, don't subsidize devices, because we want people entering to our point of sales asking for Win, not for devices. So we want customers that are devoted to Win, not devoted to iPhone, not devoted to Apple, not devoted to Samsung. So that's why now, even though we have, let me say, managed and run this strategy, we have approximately in our customer base 1.2 million of iPhones, and we have not sold any. So these 1.2 million of iPhones are coming from the subsidy of our peers and so on. And we have reached the leadership in terms of Android penetration. So if you take the Android market, Wind in this moment has the highest percentage of Android users in the market. Digital, Wind Digital, again, 12 months ago it was born. Our ambition at the beginning was to have a department, this department is reporting directly to me, just to fix the basics. What does fix the basic mean? It means that, okay, you have many different digital brand touch points. What are these digital brand touch points? One is your mobile site, the presence in your social networks, your website, your self-care area. All these were a little bit disaligned. So we started working in terms of aligning the brand in each one of these, let me say, digital brand touch points. At the same time, we decided to work in order to simplify everything. We simplified all the processes. So if you need to top up, you need to top up in less than 5 seconds. If you need to find, let me say, your consumption, you need to find it in a very middle way. Again, people don't have to think about this, because the moment they think, the moment they abandon you on these digital channels. And this was the first task. But the second task is even more important, because we started working on innovative services like mobile payment, like partnerships and agreements with over-the-tops. Just to give you some numbers in order to be a little bit more, let me say, fact-based. We have had from, let me say, in the last 8 months, approximately 1.1 million downloads with Google. So now we have this revenue share with Google. Fantastic, because we are not enemies, we are partners. And if you look at the trend, in the last month, we have had an enormous amount of downloads. So people are really now using the prepaid in order to download the content so we can share with Google. Then it's important also to say that the My Wind application, the application on the mobile phone, on the smartphone, this is important because you can access the company Wind through the smartphone. And we have had approximately 3 million downloads. We are very fast, and this performance is really beating all the performances of our peers. And if you look, for example, at the unique customers, we moved from 0.9 unique customers at the self-care area that has become 3 million per month. And the total visitors on our sites has moved from 1.1 to approximately 13 million per month. So these numbers are really telling you that there is a lot of stuff that you can do on digital channels, and this is really, let me say, the fuel for your future, let me say, performance. You have to be future-proof, so you have to work on this. Not because this is rocket science, but because you have to do this. There are a lot of people below 25 years that they forget about you if you don't do this. Of course, one important thing that we are willing to do, and our ambition here, is also to create an offering, a selling proposition that is digital-centric and digital-based. So the evolution of all-inclusive will be on digital. Of course, there will be something different, there will be personalizations. We have to manage the end-to-end chain, the digital end-to-end chain. This is not going to be easy, so that's why one of the targets for 2014 is to be very effective also in the e-commerce. But people, most of the people below 25 years old, they want to be managed online. And there are some examples of that among some virtual operators. One, for example, is GiveGaff. I don't know if it is in UK, but there are, let me say, plenty of these examples. We have the muscles to do this, so we have to be ready in order to get this performance. Looking at the operational excellence. Operational excellence, I think, is, again, something that really helped us in achieving the results that you saw in the previous charts, in particular the operational cash flow. So bad context, but the operational cash flow is the same, remains the same, stable. Why? Because we have worked a lot in terms of OPEX and CAPEX. In terms of OPEX, we worked in terms of different ways of efficiency programs in the year. But the intention here was not, has been never to, let me say, cut investments or cut costs, just simply optimizing what we do in order to be efficient and at the same time to save OPEX. We have optimized the advertising. We worked a lot in terms of rental and power. You know that rental and power is something very demanding, in particular power, because power is something that increases because every year there are additional taxes, at least in Italy. So we just created a department that is really focused on rental and power in order to have the right synergies there. For the rent, and now we are just sharing sites with our peers. There could be more, but of course this depends on Vodafone willingness to do this and on Telecom Italia willingness to do this. But I think that this is probably going to be one of the most, let me say, important trends. Then we have on technology, the IT optimization, as well as on the network. On the network, thanks to the network project, we were able to save approximately 45 million euros of CAPEX in 2013. So all in all, and if we look at, let me say, the OPEX on the right side, you see that in 2013, we estimate a savings of approximately 10% of the total OPEX. And if we exclude inflation rate and the automatic, let me say, increase of cost based on volumes, this becomes not 11, not 12, but approximately 13, 14% in terms of savings. Capital efficiency, again, we are not rolling out the network in the traditional way where we say, okay, now we have the LTE, now we need to roll out everything and everywhere LTE, because LTE is let me say, the most popular acronym now in the market. No, we work across all the technologies, so we have the HSPA and the LTE. Our issue is capacity. We have to follow capacity everywhere. Summertime, wintertime, depending on people go. The most important thing is what is the traffic. And based on this consumption, then we decide to roll out the network that is really following the capacity extra needs that customers have. So now the most important cities in Italy, all the network in Italy now is covered by 21 megabit network. The most important 64 Italian cities are covered by network 42 megabit. Now we are just rolling out the LTE network in order to have the extra capacity needed. For us, LTE is not just because you need to provide super high speed. For us, LTE is important in order to guarantee the capacity customers need. So if they need, let me say, minimum 3 megabit in 2014, this is exactly what we're going to do thanks to the LTE. If we need 4, 4, 5, 5. But it's not because LTE, not LTE. And now we have rolled out some hotspots, in particular in the city of Rome and Milan, where there is a huge data consumption, of course, and in some of the most important Italian airports. By end of 2014, we will be covering the most important 17 cities. And then, again, looking at 2014, we will understand, going ahead, what are the most important needs, city by city, area by area. And then we have, of course, to benchmark ourselves with Telecom and Vodafone in order to maintain the right gap and the right, let me say, quality perception. Again, this is, again, a matter of perception. Of course, we are trying to exploit as much as possible joint network build-out with our peers. Again, this is what we are, our ambition, but this ambition, of course, has to meet the ambition of our peers. But we are promoters of this kind of partnerships. We are evaluating, analyzing a tower opportunity. I think it's the right time. Probably it was not the right time 3-4 years ago, but I think now is the right time. So we are evaluating these opportunities. And the last but not the least, we have stolen from Vodafone, the most important mobile virtual operator in Italy, which is Poste Mobile. So we signed a contract with Poste Mobile, and this is very important because it means that Poste Mobile, that has 2.7 million customers, they now rely on WIN. And when we tried to negotiate this with Poste Mobile 4 years ago, they said, no, we don't like you because the quality you deliver is not the quality we want. But now they say, yes, fine, because probably they perceive that our quality is the same quality that Vodafone delivers, in particular on the network. Even though we have, let me say, less sites and BDSs on Italy. But as a conclusion, of course, this is the focus for 2014, to outperform the market. We are going to outperform the market. Our ambition is to generate a solid free cash flow in 2014 as well, working exactly as I already explained, not only in terms of growing the revenue share and the market share, but at the same time working a lot in terms of efficiency. Monetizing the mobile data, so we have to be one step forward, and we have to be very quick and fast because we need to monetize it. And we have to focus on the market segments where we believe we can get our fair share. Now that we have reached a very big, we say consistency, or we have reached a big presence in the consumer segment. Now we are ready to get the small medium enterprise, the SOHO segment, because these are the segments that we have now to address in this moment. Of course, this is going to be possible thanks to the management team in Italy that is made by really passionate, very experienced, professional and competent people. And this is what we would like to do in 2014.